Imagine our cities filled with fruit trees. And I don't mean fruit trees planted along the side of the road dropping fruit on your car. I mean fruit trees planted in civic spaces, at schools and hospitals, parks and businesses, houses of worship, and more. Imagine these communities coming together to care for these trees, to harvest and share their fruit. Imagine these trees as tools of environmental restoration, helping to restore the health of our soil, to improve air quality and to absorb rainwater runoff. Imagine these trees as community focal points, opportunities for participation, learning, and connection. This is the vision of the Boston Tree Party. At its core, the Boston Tree Party is a diverse coalition of organizations, institutions, and individuals coming together in support of civic fruit. You can see we have civic fruit translated into Latin on our seal, because what's a seal without a good Latin motto? So what we do is we call for the planting of fruit trees in civic space, and we promote the fruits of civic engagement. Over the past 2 months, over 50 communities from across Greater Boston have come together to plant pairs of heirloom apple trees in publicly used spaces. Together, these trees form a new decentralized public urban orchard that crosses social, political, economic, and geographic boundaries, and which symbolizes a commitment to environmental and community health, the environmental and community health of our city and of the next generation. Why apples? First off, apples are a symbol of health and well-being. Second, apples are a democratic fruit. No one's scared of apples. No one's intimidated by apples. And third, there's a very interesting historical connection between the history of apples and the history of Boston. The first apple orchard planted in the United States was planted on Beacon Hill by the first European settler, William Blackstone. And the oldest variety of named apple in the United States is the Roxbury russet, developed in Roxbury in the 1630s. So together, we're making Boston a city of apples once again, but with this new recontextualized meaning. Why heirloom apples? At peak apple production in the United States in the 19th century, there were over 15,000 varieties of named apples eaten and sold. Today, the commercial market is dominated by just 10 varieties, but 40% of the market is the Red Delicious, that classic cafeteria apple. This loss represents not only a loss of biodiversity, but a loss of history, culture, and flavor, a homogenization of experience. And we hope that with these plantings we'll inspire new interest in these old, delicious varieties of apple, many of which originated in Massachusetts or New England. Why pairs of apple trees? Well, apple trees need to be planted in heterogeneous pairs in order to cross-pollinate and bear fruit. You can't just plant one apple tree, nor can you plant two of the same variety. This biological fact has become the central metaphor of the project. We too cannot produce fruit alone, nor can we produce fruit with others just like ourselves. We too need to cross-pollinate. Because that's how you get the sweetest and juiciest fruit. We launched the party on April 10th on the Rose Kennedy Greenway with the Boston Tree Party inauguration. The event was a celebratory rally, a parade, and the ceremonial planting of the first pair of heirloom apple trees in this citywide planting campaign. Over the past 2 months, over 50 communities from across Greater Boston have come together to form tree planting delegations. Many of these delegations are partnerships between 2 or more communities, offering more opportunity for social cross-pollination. Each community received a tree planting kit with everything they needed to plant and grow 2 glorious apple trees and to organize a celebratory tree planting party. Each community created a tree planting party tailored to their own needs and interests. In East Boston, the East Boston Neighborhood Health Center was creating a new community garden on top of an abandoned parking lot. As you can see, they actually broke through the concrete to plant their trees. They used their tree planting party to inaugurate this new community effort. In Somerville, an environmental education organization partnered with a city public health initiative and a local environmental community group to do their tree planting party at the Blessing of the Bay Boathouse Park along the banks of the Mystic River. And though this scene looks quite idyllic, the Mystic River is actually one of the most polluted rivers in Massachusetts, and their planting party was part of a larger effort to restore the environmental and community health of this neighborhood and of the city of Somerville. In Cambridge, a public elementary school came together with a gardening education organization, an after-school program, and the Cambridge Plant and Garden Club to do their planting. Their party included apple games, apple treats, and a study of apple tree ecology and biology. In Dorchester, an assisted living center for adults with multiple sclerosis partnered with an environmental health organization and a neighborhood association to do their planting party. Also in Dorchester, a low-income housing community for grandparents raising grandchildren partnered with a youth development organization, a community development corporation, and the Boston Architectural College to restore and renovate a community garden that had become neglected and dilapidated. Their tree planting party celebrated this new beginning. The thing about apple trees is you can't just plant them and abandon them. They really require care, attention, and stewardship. That's why we didn't just plant apple trees through the city willy-nilly. Instead, we started with communities who wanted to plant and care for these trees. And to support these communities, we've created the Apple Alliance and the Apple Corps. The Apple Alliance, a partnership of several Boston-based gardening education organizations, together with our official pomologists, John Bunker and Michael Phillips, will offer free and low-cost holistic apple tree care workshops starting next spring. And the Apple Corps, a youth corps in development with Youth Build Boston, will operate as an extension service of sorts, offering support and advice to participating delegations. One of the best things about fruit trees is that you don't pull them out at the end of the season. Instead, you develop a relationship with them. You watch them grow, change, and develop, fruit and flourish. You give to them, and they keep giving back to you, shade, beauty, and sustenance. In about 4 years, this collection of apple trees, this new planting, will collectively start to bear between 10 and 15,000 free apples every year. And these trees can live anywhere from 50 to 100 years, which means a lot of free apples. 238 years ago, not far from this very spot, a small group of people got together and dumped a whole bunch of tea into Boston Harbor and made a big splash. This symbolic and performative act helped to launch the movement for American independence. We hope that this symbolic planting will help to launch a new movement, a movement that works across boundaries to make fresh, healthy food accessible to all, a movement to green our cities, a movement to plant fruit trees in civic spaces all across the country, and a movement that comes together to care for these trees and the well-being of all citizens. I now leave you with the Boston Tree Party flag and ask you to go plant a tree and to join the party. Thank you.